Welcome to my personal channel. You know, no one really likes negative things. I certainly don't like negative things. On the other hand, there are things that, that we should probably talk about because things do happen that aren't always rainbows and unicorns. So, what am I going to talk about today? Well, I'm going to tell you about my tale of woe. I'm going to tell you about a string of bad luck, if there is such a thing, that's never happened to me in such rapid fire, intertwined ways. Almost like it was designed to crush me. Like my name turned to Job. Okay, so it's a little melodramatic. But let me go back and tell you about my tale of woe. It was about 6 weeks ago. I get a phone call. Yeah, a phone call, which I didn't answer. It was a U.S. number, and anybody that would be calling me, I would know who it was, and it wasn't. So I assumed it was a telemarketer. But it switched to voicemail. And so later that day, I was on my phone and I saw the voicemail thing. And oh, yeah, there was that call. I was going to just delete, but I said, oh, let me listen to it. So I listened, and it's my bank, Capital One. And they're informing me that they've locked down my card because they suspect that fraud has occurred and I should call this number. So I think, okay, maybe this is one of those scams, you know. So I look up the number, and it turns out that number is actually Capital One. So I call into Capital One, not on that number, but on my personal account number. And I get a hold of the computer menu, and I go to a person and I explain what happened. They said, "Oh yeah, let's take a look." And they look in the computer and verify things about me, and they say, "Yeah, there's a couple charges here that they wanted to verify because it came up as, however, algorithm." So they read the charge, and the one was Exito. Well, it could be. I buy things from Exito now and then. Not my favorite store, but I buy from them. And then another one came up, and I'd never even heard of it. And it was, like $300-400. I'd never heard of this store. I said, no, it's absolutely not me. I would remember a $300 or $400 purchase, and it would certainly be at a place that I would know. So they said, okay, push their button. My card's no longer any good, and we'll send you out a new one. I said, well, I'm traveling in Colombia, and this is where I am right now. And what can you do? Oh, well, they hold on, and they look at my record, and apparently I've had them for a long time. And they said, well, in your situation, we can send it to you at no charge. I said, oh, okay, that's pretty cool. We'll send it by FedEx. Warning bells, but okay, we'll give that a shot. Not the best way to send things down here. So they sent it to me, and in my account online, it said that I should have received the card. Well, I know that it's only to the shores of the United States and probably got there the next day. But once it leaves offshore, it goes into different hands, and God knows what can happen. Subcontractors to the subcontractors. That's why, even though in the U.S. I hated DHL, here it's one of the best services. But Serbian Traga would be good. But they choose, I don't know, lowest bidder. So anyway, I figure I'll give it a little space. A couple weeks go by and I still haven't gotten my card. Well, now I start thinking day by day. Here's my dilemma. If I call in and say I haven't gotten my card, the very first thing they'll do is cancel that card. I mean, I won't get another word out of my mouth. They'll cancel that card and we'll reissue another one. Well, then what if it shows up the next day? As this was my only source for money, and I'd had no source for money for a few weeks, I didn't want that to happen. So I said, well, I'll wait another day. I'll wait another day. We ended up going about 3 weeks. And I just can't wait anymore. So I call in, I tell him, and I ended up having to call back like 5 or 6 times, different things. I got disconnected on a call, and it was a mess. But I finally got through to somebody, and they said, okay, we can't track it down. Apparently, FedEx lost it somewhere. We'll send you out another one. Hold on a minute. Yes, sir, we can send that one out to you at no charge. Okay, okay, great. So there you go. In the meantime, um, I had bills that were overdue, wasn't able to pay them. I was starting to get worried about that. And then I get a notice, it's somewhere in there from my apartment owner telling me that I'm going to have to move because he's going to sell the place. He got some rumor that things were selling for way more than they were worth, and this was his opportunity, and he was going to capitalize. And of course, like everybody else, he says, well, of course, COVID, so you know, everything's because of COVID. So I said, okay, what am I going to do? And I get antsy about moving, and I could have had to the end of the month and then one more month. Uh, but once I know I've got to move, I just start freaking out. It's almost like an anxiety attack. It's like I got to do it, I got to get it done. And so I won't go through the details of that. I've talked about it on my Grand Columbia channel because that did apply to living in Columbia. But I truly loved living there. I had said it so many times about I don't know if I've ever been happier living in a place than I was there. I just loved every day I got up. It was just, I can't even describe. And this isn't because I now have to leave, but I've been saying this for many months about how happy I was there. And right up until I got word that I have to leave, I had those very same feelings. And yeah, so, I got to leave. So I'm scrambling around for that. Well, through all of this, and I did say, and I usually don't talk about these, actually, I never really talk about these things, but I did have a girlfriend, first one in forever. And through the course of this, for a very reason, she got kind of panicked. I don't know, for whatever reason, she said, ciao, bye, ran home to mommy. And sent me a text saying, don't write me. Okay. All right. So I'll deal with that. Now, what I'm not telling you is sprinkled in here were a lot of little things that were like, are you serious? Can just one more thing go wrong? Well, wrong question, because the answer was yes. So I'm leaving out a lot of little things. Um, so I find this house. So I get this house, and I'm thinking about it. I told him I'll tell him the next day. So I called back the next day, and he says no longer available. Oh, great. And I didn't want to come here, except it was right next door, and I just love this area. And because I felt like I need to move now. I need to move now. And because nothing was planned, there was no lead up. It's like, okay, my lease is expiring. I'm not happy living here. So I got a couple months to plan. It wasn't like that at all. It was like, boom, you got to go. And it played with this feeble mind. So I move into the house, and I get in here, and there's so many things you don't notice when you first go through, but it turns out that this had been a rental property for a while in a place where they're not really rented. People own these homes, and people have very nice homes here, and everybody on the block is driving a new car, and it's just really nice. And you get to mine, and it's kind of seedy and run down, and yeah, the bathroom cabinets are falling apart. So I call back to my real estate guy who located this and some other things. And I said, look, I got, this cabinet falling apart. I'll get somebody over there. Well, then the intercom to the guard house, or the telephone on the wall, it kept shorting out, and the oven, it would get warm, but it wouldn't get hot, so there was something wrong there. And then I wake up one morning and I'm getting cold showers. The hot water is not working. So it's like, are you freaking serious? So I got, I'm locked in this all this past week. I'm locked into the house as one repairman after another come in, and it's I mean it's nice that my buddy in the real estate is chasing after getting all of this done for me. I mean, I really appreciate that. But it, I mean, every time I turn around, something was falling apart. Something was wrong. I continued having financial problems. Now, Rob came through and he helped me out in a big way, but there's been some other issues. I'm not going to go into that here, but it's been something. So then, then my trusty Samsung S8 Plus that I've had and done many video clips on over the course of the past few years, it fell one too many times, and the screen turned into a flashing green. Insert clip here. I think I have one. So, great. Then I find out that all my apps operate through the phone. This kind of snuck up on me. I can't get access to my bank account without using that phone. I can't access Rappi without using the phone. I can't. Everything has to be verified through your phone now. So that was fun. I had a real treat. What I would do is I could screenshot and broadcast it to my laptop or my desktop here. And so I would go through, I would open the app, seeing on the screenshot where it is, and then I would screenshot the next page, and I would see where it was. I would push the next button, and so I would kind of line it up, and I would push it there, hoping that's the right one. I'd screenshot again, and if it was the right one, then I could see, and then I could see where to push the next one. You have no idea how tedious it was. I went back later. I had 56 screenshots going through two apps to get some things going. So, because I need to access money if I was going to get another phone. So I go on Mercado Libre on my desktop and I start searching for a cheap phone because I went through a lot of money that I wasn't planning on. And so, it's like, I got to keep it cheap. So I'm looking and looking, and I find one that was, it was reasonably cheap, maybe $70 to $100 under what some of the other lower priced ones were. And I decided to look for an S9 Plus because they're pretty cheap now, and there's a pretty massive improvement on the video camera part of that phone. So I look for that. I find it. I said, okay, I'm going to buy this one. So I buy it. Now, fortunately, Mercado Libre is a very safe place to buy. The person doesn't get your money until you actually receive your product and everything's okay. But there can be delays as they're sorting that out. Well, it turns out this guy was just a bait and switch artist. So he didn't actually have the phone that he was selling. He had some cheap knockoff Chinese something or other. I didn't even recognize the name. And he says it's brand new or like new, and I'll sell it to you at the same price, and it's a way better phone. And well, the specs were pretty good on it, but who the hell wants a God knows what phone? Plus, if you have Samsung, transferring information is a lot easier, and I keep my life on that phone. So I said, no, I'll pass. Fucking, pardon me, darn scammer. So, I cancel the order, because he doesn't have what I purchased. And so Mercado Libre says, okay, in 3 days, if nothing has been changed on either side, then we'll return your money. Okay, now I gotta wait 3 days for money that I didn't have to begin with. So, what are you gonna do? It's like everything that can go wrong finds a way. So he decided just to be a jerk and not actually refund the money, which he could have opted to do at any time. So go the 3 days, and it automatically took place. So that did happen. And on the upside, I did find another phone that was amazingly cheap from a vendor who had great reviews and had, like a 5-star rating. And so I ultimately ended up getting a new phone, an S9 Plus, that's really nice. As far as I knew, it's like new. And I ended up paying 540,000 pesos. So it's like well under $200 for a phone, which is like half of the price of cheaper ones around. The scammer was selling his for 720,000. And I thought that was a killer price. I got real lucky on this one. And, since we're talking about the good luck, I did message the guy. I said, look, here's a situation. I'm kind of desperate. And, so send as quick as you can. I got it 2 days later, 4 days sooner than it was scheduled to get here. So that was pretty awesome. So, silver lining and all. So then I get a deposit into my bank account, and I eventually did get my new debit card. It did come through the second time around. And so I decide I'm going to go to the ATM and I'm going to pull out money that I needed right then, that I needed in some cash. So I go over to pull out 800,000, which is a couple $100, $214 or something like that. It was almost all the money I had in the account. And so I go over to the ATM and I put the card in, and everything's going fine. And take your card out. I put it back in my wallet. I'm waiting for the money, and I'm hearing as the machine counts out the money, and then I hear this crunch and then clatter, and then I hear this sound. I swear it sounded like like chomping. And then this red light comes on and it starts flashing. It ate my money. So what do I do now? So I get a little slip of paper out and it's got the transaction. I check. It's I go to the bank. So the next day I go to the bank. And this woman comes over and what would you like? And I said, well, it ate my money, so I would like my money returned. It's not in my bank, it's in your bank. And she's telling me, well, just go to another ATM. What? And, no, you're not getting it. And I realize my Spanish sucks, but that's just ignorant. So then she says, go over to the cashier and they'll take care of it. Give them the paper. I said, okay. So I go over to the cashier. She tells me go to another ATM. You don't get it. I don't have money in that bank to draw on because you've got it. So I said, who's your boss? And she says, he's right here. So it was a kiosk right next to the cashier's window. So I go over there. And he didn't send me to another cashier. He was actually pretty calm and cool. And he said, look, here's the deal. Because it's an international transaction, it will usually take 4 or 5 days, but the money will automatically be returned to your bank. So if at the end of next week you don't have it, come back in and see me. But it should be an automatic thing since I had the paper that's saying that I didn't receive the money. It's cool that the ATMs have that. So it spits out your proof that there was an error. So he said, come back and we'll figure out what we have to do. But if you wait until, towards the end of next week, your money, you should find it back in your bank. Okay, great. So there's that money that I don't have. So it's like a curse on me to have even two pennies to rub together in my fingers. And, things have to get done. I had my health insurance bill overdue and whatever. So I'm not going to go on forever, but there was a few more things. Now, I will end this on an up note. Okay, first of all, positives. Robert saved my life. Without exaggerating, if Robert had not come up with a solution for me for last month, I would have probably been living on a street. I'm not exaggerating. It's just I would have had to been out of one and not had the money for another one, and it would have just been, I don't know what I would have done. And so Robert kind of saved my life. That's a huge positive, obviously. Number two, I did find this house next door. And while there's things I'm not happy with, a lot of them are getting taken care of. And for everything that I don't like, there's actually an advantage that offsets it. So we'll see after I live here for a while how I feel about it. I probably will still prefer the high rise, and I'll probably, at the end of this lease, I'll probably, locate another one um, suited for the way I want it to be. And I'll know going into it to take a little time to make some choice, and I won't feel so panicked. But who knows? Maybe I'll just absolutely fall in love with it because there are some distinct advantages of living in a single house like this. Nobody above you, nobody below you. I mean, it's that's pretty cool. So there's that. And then about 4 days after my girlfriend decided to say sayonara, um, she sends a message to a friend checking up on how I'm doing, and then I get a message, how sorry, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry, and I really need to see you, and I was feeling pretty aloof. I've been going through all the things I just told you times three, a lot of things. And it was like the most battered I've felt over a 6 week period. Uh, it just was not great. I mean, nobody died, nobody, but it was just, it was chiseling away at me. And, so I was feeling pretty aloof about it, but she was fairly insistent. Okay, what the hell? And came with all kinds of apologies and here's why. And yeah, once she got here, it's like I kind of just kind of melted away and said, all right, we'll give this another shot. But, trust a hard thing to come by. But there were some pretty good arguments that she had, not to do with, anything I'd done, but, about her reasoning to take off and how she realized right away what a mistake it was and took a couple days to decide that she was going to aggressively try to make up for it. And so, I appreciate all those efforts, and that was real nice. Um, so that's kind of it in a nutshell. You may find it absolutely boring. It was an event in my life that I will not soon forget. Another positive thing, the car that has been to two different mechanics for this electrical short that keeps running the battery dead after like a couple hours that nobody could seem to manage to sort out. And I went out, and 10 minutes later, it was fixed. Should have done that to begin with. I mean, I spent 40 years, no more than that, 40 years officially as owning or managing. But from the time I was 10 years old, I mean, I was working in junkyard. So my entire life has been involved in working on cars, which is why I didn't want to do it. I was just sick of it. But it doesn't mean I don't have the skills. So I went in and without any kind of major tools, just knowing systems, I found the problem, I fixed the problem, and now the car is 100% workable. I do need to get out and drive it around. planning on doing that last week, but I got waiting for contractors. So, and this week I've actually got some commitments, but maybe towards the end of this week, maybe Friday, maybe over the weekend, I'll be able to get out and put some miles on it so that I can feel that I can rely on it. Because you have to remember, I've had this car for a year and a half, and I've probably put 5 miles on it. Yeah. So, mechanically, it's like new, but sitting is not good for a car. So yeah, that's it. That's my tale of woe and some happy things at the end. Today, my life is going pretty well. I'm pretty happy. Everything seems to be working and functioning. I've got a very nice housemate who's very busy with her own life. She quit her job actually to come live here. Um, she has a fair amount of money on her own. She's saved. She's been saving for a car, and she offered basically her bank account to get me over the hump, which I turned down. I'll deal with it. I'll survive. I couldn't bring myself to do that, but it was very nice of her to, to offer. She's in the university. It's a post grad thing, and it's the American Business School, which is a big thing here. And her program is police forensics, detective investigation, basically the crime scene investigator that comes along and takes the pictures and catalogs the evidence and, does fingerprints and all of that kind of stuff. So we got an awful lot in common. She loves shooting. I grew up from the time I was 8 years old with guns and rifles and pistols, and so that's all pretty cool. Now she just she's studying because she's got a final coming up through the week, but on Saturdays she jumps in a bus, goes to Pareda, does her 7 hours of class. Her class is from 1 in the afternoon till 7 at night every Saturday. Yeah, it's kind of a chore, but she's doing it. That's the sacrifice she decided to make to be with this. Okay, so there was bad and there was some good. And tune in to the Grand Columbia channel, will you? Ciao.